Good morning. We find ourselves in the holiday of Chanuka, the holiday the most celebrated by Jews, more than Pesach, more than Shavuot, more than Yom Kippur. Of course, why is this holiday so celebrated, and what is so powerful during this holiday? Definitely special energy during the holiday of light, the festival of lights, Chanuka. Chanuka marks the period where Chanu, we rested, Ka, Chavhei, on the 25th from our enemies. After the Jews suffered for years from the Greeks, which started a whole way of living, which is a way of living of Greek philosophy, a way where the Greeks established that the Jews should write al keren ashor, on the horn of the ox, en lachem chelek be'elokei Israel, meaning that the Greeks made a decree on the Jewish people that everyone should have a sign that's very clear, even on their vehicles, that says, we don't have a part in the God of Israel. What does it mean you don't have a part in the God of Israel? It means, yes, you want to study. You want to practice the laws, the moral laws of not stealing, not killing, not committing adultery. Okay, it's something that we can understand in logic. But anything that is going to be divine, anything that's going to be beyond the understanding of man, anything that's going to be godly, take it away. We don't have a part in the God of Israel. You want to be part of us, you want to be part of the Yevanim, the Greek philosophy and the Greek ideology, you have to be like us. What does it mean, be like us? If you remember, the Greeks, they had statues and they had a very, very special measuring element, which is the proportion of 1.18. What does that mean? Literally speaking, they needed to be a special proportion to be the perfect being. You needed to have a certain proportion between this part of the face and the lower part of the face, between the torso and the legs, and etc. And this was exactly the measurements. If you fit in these measurements, then you were perfect, right? And basically, they created gods. They had a bunch of gods. They had the god of love, they had the god of anger, the god of this, the god of that, and the goddess of this, and the goddess of that. And they made different statues in order to express their different gods. Now, it's very interesting. When we talk about God, you understand that a lot of people have questions about God. There's no problem to have questions about God. But a God that you can understand is a God that you created yourself. So why did they create gods? I'm going to repeat this sentence because I think it's very essential. The fact that we don't understand God makes our God real, the real God. Because how can a little speck in the whole universe and the whole creation be the one that's going to understand his creator? That's not a creator. If I understand my creator, it means I created him myself. And that's what they did. They created gods. And gods have portions. Their God of love could commit adultery. And it's okay. If the gods are doing it, we can do it. And you know what? This God got angry at this God. Not a problem. If they do it, we can do it. This was a whole philosophy basically based on the body. How am I going to take care of my body, take care of my pleasures? It's all about the me, myself, and I. And that's why in the Hebrew letters, the word Yavan, which is Greece, starts with the letter Yud, which is a dot, and then it goes down and it forms the letter Vav, which is like a line, and then it becomes the letter Nun Sofit, which is a longer line. So we go from Yud to Vav to Nun Sofit. We're going down, 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 down. It's all about indulging in the world a little more, be more beautiful, be more attractive, be more accepted. And that's why a statue is something that does not evolve. A statue does not move. And that's what the Greeks wanted. They wanted us to be in a way that we would be like statues, like little robots. We are the perfect beings. If you are the perfect being, then you are accepted by society. And if not, you are not accepted by society. This is what the Greek philosophy is all about. And therefore, during this time, they basically wanted to take the soul out of the Torah. Be Jewish. We're not going to exterminate you. We don't want you to die. We just want you to be like us. Dress with all the name brands like us. Have all the operations you need to be able to look like us. Do everything like us. And unfortunately, what that brings to the world is at the moment that a person wants to emulate a system that defines who he is no longer himself. One loses their identity. Not only they lose their identity, they lose their true vitality and their true light, which is the light of their soul. Unfortunately, that's what happened for a lot of Jews. They made 3 specific decrees. One on Shabbat. Why keep Shabbat? Logically speaking, it doesn't make sense. A person has a business, he is going to stop working on Shabbat? What do you mean? The next decree was Milah. Perform a circumcision, a Brit Milah. What does it mean to be so atrocious, to do such a thing to a child when he is just born, he's just 8 days old, and already you want to mutilate him by doing a Brit Milah? You haven't asked the child what he thinks. Let's ask his opinion, right? Basically, it's impossible that in your flesh you're going to have a connection to God. And Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh, the first month, the first day of the month, is calculated according to the moon cycle. And we know that the moon is always evolving. And therefore, Rosh Chodesh, you're going to do Rosh Chodesh. We don't evolve. And Chadash Tachat HaShemesh. King Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. Meaning that just stay the same way. Don't move. Be static. So, I want to tell you that at the time of Avraham Avinu, the first Jew, when Avraham discovered God, at that moment, what happened? One day, his father, which was an idol worshiper, and had an idol shop, I think he owned idols.com, and he told his son, Avraham, please keep the store, keep it open. I'm going to go on a trip. What did Avraham do? He took a bat or something, a stick, and he broke all the idols of his father. He kept one big idol and put the stick in its hand. And when his father came back and saw all the idols broken, he said, my son, what did you do? He said, what do you mean? The idols didn't want to eat, so the bigger idol broke them to pieces. At that moment, his father looks at him and says, what are you, making fun of me? These idols don't see, don't speak, don't hear. How could you say such a thing? So he says, Tati, Father, if that's true, then why are you worshiping something that doesn't see, doesn't speak, and doesn't hear? But here I think there's a much deeper message in Avraham Avinu's message. Don't be a statue. Don't be something static. If you're Jewish, break out of yourself. I've never met a Jew in my life that is satisfied. You could be happy but never satisfied. Always seeking for more, always looking for more, always looking for deeper. It doesn't matter. We need more. Why? Because this is the inherent nature of a Jew. A Jew is seeking, is a seeker, just like Avraham Avinu was a seeker. I want answers for life. I want to know exactly who's ruling the world. It can be the moon, it can be the sun. It can be somebody that has power, that's a human being that today is here and tomorrow dies. It needs to be a being that's infinite. And that infinity is the one, like the Rambam says, that is pushing at the same level every day without faltering for thousands of years, the sun, and making the sun shine with exactly the same shine. Every one of us during this holiday of Chanuka has to ask himself, where am I in my life? What am I doing? What am I tolerating that should not be tolerated? Many of us don't want to shake the boat. We don't want to shake the boat. Who wants to shake the boat? I have a good life. Why in the world should I start looking and seeking for something? Chanuka is the holiday where we seek. We seek to be different. We take not only our statues and break them, but even our statuses. Status comes from the word statue, where you show yourself a certain way, but who are you? Break the way you are shown, and you show yourself to everybody, and show your true self. Don't even show your true self. Be your true self. And once you're going to be your true self, you're going to seek deeply. At that moment, you are liberated from your enemy. You are able to celebrate your own personal Chanuka. And unfortunately, you have a whole generation of people which their whole existence is their appearance on social media, their statues, their status, which is not moving, which is not evolving. Thank God on WhatsApp you can only have a status for 24 hours, so you're obligated to show something new. We have to evolve in life. At the time of the Greeks, they impurified the temple. And when they purified the temple, no oil was pure enough to light the menorah. The Jewish people were looking and looking and looking. And the moment that they won the war and they wanted to inaugurate the temple, they could not find any pure oil. So according to Jewish law, when everything is impure, you're allowed to light the menorah in impurity. But that's not what the Jewish people wanted. The Jewish people wanted to look, they looked and looked till they found a jar of oil with the stamp of the high priest of the Kohen Gadol, which said that this is untouched, it's pure. The moment that they had this pure olive oil, they decided to clean the menorah and alight the first candle for one day. That one day could have stayed just one day, but it would have been one day of purity. But a miracle happened, and that one day became two, and two became three, and gave them enough days by the 8th day to be able to have new olive oil that's pure. Which means that when you decide to have quality in your life, when you decide that you're going to make a change, and you're going to seek something real, not something fake, at that moment, God gives you the power to be able to shine your light. You might have to fight. You might have to go against the current. You might have a lot of people which are going to pressure you and test you. But you have to stand for the truth. If you don't stand for the truth, eventually everything is going to turn against you. Why? Because you will be and then never become who you truly needed to be. As happy as you can be, you'll never be really happy. How much more so, you'll never be satisfied with whatever you have physically and materially. A person, a billionaire, can have 10 mansions and ranches all over the world, can have 10 private planes, 10 of the best cars, 10 different meals. But even if he has all of this, he can only benefit of one at a time. So really it's a question of quality of life, quality of soul. And that's what happened during Chanuka. The Jewish people decided that after we became like Greeks, Hellenized like Greeks, and we went to the Greek philosophy, and we wanted to be accepted, and again and again and again, we tried to fit in the mold that they molded for us. It's time for us to go to a deeper level. And that is the miracle of Chanuka. The miracle of Chanuka is the self-seeking. That the self-seeking Jew is the fact that we seek to go to deeper levels. I ask you, and I ask myself, we are 3 months away from Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah passed, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, a terrible Simchat Torah this year. We're 3 months away. Some resolutions you must have made at the time of Rosh Hashanah. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe you had a moment of inspiration and said, this should change. We're 3 months later, and the real test to see if our attachment to God is true, is real, is what are we doing 3 months later? Have we changed? It's interesting that when there was a war against Amalek, it says in the verse, Machar nilachem be'Amalek. We will fight tomorrow against Amalek. Why tomorrow? Because today it's very possible we're very excited, we're full of revenge, and we want to do the right thing. And because we're passionate today, doesn't mean we're going to be passionate tomorrow. So let's see tomorrow if you wake up with the same passion, with the same enthusiasm, with the same drive to do the right thing as you did today when you were inspired. This is our life. Our life is not only about doing things in the moment of inspiration, by continuing to inspire ourselves, by connecting ourselves to the infinite Torah of Hashem. It is impossible to grow and to change and to transform ourselves without the holiness of Torah. Because Torah affects the mind. Just like philosophy, God forbid, and Greek philosophy affects the mind in a negative way and influences a person to seek and look for things which really don't identify him really. The Torah is actually the nourishment that feeds the mind to be able to connect to God and to the infinite wisdom of God. So during the holiday of Chanuka, we recite a complete Hallel, a complete praise to God, to recognize where you've taken us from, and to say, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, God, for making me be who I am today. Yesterday I had a certain ideology, but this ideology changed, was transformed. The holiday of Chanuka teaches us that if you lit a candle on the first day, it's not enough. You have to light one on the second day. And even if you did the second day, you have to add on again and again and again. And that's why the holiday of Chanuka is a very, very powerful, powerful message. If you look at the menorah, when do we light the candles of Chanuka? We don't light the candles of Chanuka like we do on Shabbat at the eve of Shabbat, except tonight, which is going to be Shabbat. So on Erev Shabbat, you have to light the Chanukiah before the candles of Shabbat because you're not allowed to light a fire on Shabbat. But on a regular day, we light the menorah not before night falls, but after night falls. Not only that, where do we place the menorah? The menorah should be placed on the left side of the door. And where exactly? Facing outwards. Why? Why all these details? And besides that, when you light your menorah, as you stand in front of the menorah, you have the shamash, and you light your first candle. And then the progression of the candles is from right to left. So on the second day, if this is the first candle, you first light the second candle, then the first candle. Then on the third day, the third candle, then the second candle, then the first candle. On the fourth day, etc. Which means you're making a progression towards the left. What is this whole left about? So really, there's the human left, there's the space left, and there's the time left. Let me explain. We know that kindness, daytime is a time of kindness, is a time of illumination, is a time of revelation. That's the right side. according to Kabbalah. According to Kabbalah, the left side represents the time of darkness, the time of weakness. And therefore, we light the menorah at the left side, meaning on the dark time. And we light it towards the left side, towards the outside. The inside represents light. The outside represents darkness. The inside represents unity, the unity of God. The outside represents disparity. It represents the different ideologies of the world. But we light outside. This is all about shining where it's dark. Our goal in the world is not to illuminate a world which is already illuminated. When you have, in broad daylight, you have a candle, it's not going to do anything. But in darkness, a little candle pushes a lot of light, a lot of darkness away. How much more so if you increase in this light? So during the holiday of Chanuka, there's a transformation that happens on the left side, which means the left, which is pushing toward a world which is free, which is more involved in physicality. We want to light it up with the light of holiness. A light is very particular because not only does it push away darkness, but when you light a candle, you don't lose your own light. And there's something special too in the left side over the right side. We know, please hold on with me because it's maybe a little difficult concept to understand, that there are two types of commandments in the Torah. There are the positive commandments and there are the negative commandments. The positive commandments are very defined. You have to light candles at this time. You have to put on tefillin that have to be boxes. You have to put mezuzah exactly in this place. Everything is very clear and defined. The negative commandments are not really fully defined. They're somewhere somewhat infinite. For example, it says do not kill. Do not. Okay, so what is considered killing? It's not defined, it's infinite. Do not steal. Okay, so if I speak, is that called, and I say a lie, is that called stealing somebody's knowledge? If I sit on somebody's bench, and so on, there's do not. What's the do not? The do not is infinite. So really in the left side, in the negative side, there is a potential of infinity. When we light the menorah and we go and make a progression towards the left, we're making that transformation of the left to be able to tap into that infinity and transform it into light, into something which is positive. We know that at the beginning of creation, God, every time He built and He created something. When God created the fish, when He created the animals, He created vegetation. So He says, Vayichen, and so it was. God spoke, and so it was. Except for one thing. The exception is concerning light. God said, may there be light. It does not say, and so it was. It says, and there was light. The expression in Hebrew, Vayhi O, according to our sages, is a negative expression. And there was light. Well, our sages teach us that it wasn't the light that God originally intended when He created the world. When God created the world, He wanted to shine His infinite light in such a way that everybody would have access to this incredible light. Just like today we have access to the internet. Imagine, and we're able to connect from one end of the world to the other as we are doing right now. It is possible it would have been possible at that time to be able to connect to the infinite light of God and tap into infinity. But God saw that there would be wicked people in the world, and that these wicked people would use that light for their benefit. So God decided to hide the light. May there be light, and there was light, not the original light. That's why it doesn't say, and so it was, which means so it was the original light. It was light, another level of light. What we find is that when Aaron, the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, lit the menorah, the verse teaches us that when he lit the menorah, it says, Vaya'as ken Aaron. God commanded him to light the menorah, and he did so. Why did it say he did so? Comes Rashi, the classic commentary of the Torah, and asks a question. What does it mean did so? It means to say the praise of Aaron, the brother of Moshe Rabbeinu, the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, the only one that had the opportunity to see God on the day of Yom Kippur and go in the Holy of Holies. That same Aaron did not change the commandment of God. Whatever God asked him to do, he didn't change it. That's how he lit the menorah. So obviously the question is, what do you mean? Do we have a doubt on a man of such a stature that he should do something which is contrary to what God commanded him, or change even an iota of what God said? So what is we talking about? The Arizal, the master Kabbalist, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, says that really, what does it mean? It means that at the beginning of creation, the original light that God intended and the light that came down was changed. Aaron HaKohen did not change the light. The light that God intended in heaven, that infinite light, he brought it down and put it in the lights of the menorah. So my friends, when we light the menorah, we are tapping into the light that was originally intended to the world, the infinite light. And where there is infinity, even the left can shine, even the darkness can shine, even the side of you which has been completely absorbed and engulfed in the ideology, the Greek ideology of the world, which has sucked you in. You can actually reclaim your light during the holiday of Chanuka. And that's what it means to tap into your infinite light. Every single one of us has an infinite light inside of him. This happens during the holiday of Chanuka. And something very special happens as we speak. Yesterday in Tasmania, they lit the first candle of Chanuka. That candle started a human cycle of parents, children, and public lightings around the world, where for the next 24 hours, people lit the first candle. We didn't finish that cycle that already we started a new cycle in the second candle, and the third candle, and the fourth candle, till we're going to come to the eighth candle of Chanuka, where the light is above the 7 days of the week, above nature, and reaches the eighth level. It brings an infinite light that pushes away all darkness and actually has the power to transform any evil decree that was decreed from the beginning of the year till now, and we can have some type of peace that we did not have this year because of what happened. We're able to have that transformation of the darkness into light. So I would like to encourage every single one of you, before you light the Chanuka candles, to put a little tzedakah, a little charity in a charity box, to say a prayer for our soldiers, say a prayer for the Jewish people, say a prayer for the world that it should be illuminated with peace, and make a change. Break the statues. Bring out the light. That light lies in you, and the only thing you have to do is to believe in it and make it happen. God bless you. Chanuka Sameach. I remind you, we first light the Chanukiah, and then we light the Shabbat candles. Say Shabbat, we first do the Havdalah, and then we light the Chanukiah. Thank you so much for joining us. Shabbat Shalom and Chanuka Sameach.